Okay, what's going on, boys? NealGuides here. Welcome back to another video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to go through the entire picture notes, crossplay, how does it work? I know some of you like listening to this in a type of podcast instead of reading it yourself, so I thought I'd go over it. Quickly, want to mention as well that they've released a patch to help reduce the impact of through balls over the top, because the defending team will incorrectly slow down after chasing a lob through pass. Now, I actually thought this was a deliberate action, but apparently it was incorrect. So that is something. But anyway, going straight into the pitch notes. So I haven't read this, but I'm going to read this for the first time, and then I'll give you my opinion. I'm just going to go to the main sections. So what is crossplay test and what modes is it available for? So just to give you the quick lowdown, crossplay will basically allow you to play, like if you're on Xbox and your friends on Stadia or Series X or S, you can play against them. That's probably one of the biggest downsides with FIFA, especially when Fortnite really came into the scene. It kind of changed the way the industry was going with crossplay, and FIFA are kind of leading towards it. With delay and everything, that's going to be something else, which I'll go on to towards the end. But let's just go through it. FIFA 22 crossplay is the ability to play the game with players from a different platform. Our crossplay test will be available in online seasons and in online friendly, so not Ultimate Team. Meaning you can choose to play from FIFA 22 from a friend with another platform, or climb on the online season divisions together, potentially playing on other platforms. As mentioned earlier, this crossplay test will be available for players on the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and Stadia version FIFA 22, so no old generation, and no Ultimate Team, which I think makes sense because the markets are completely different, although we'll have to see that in a different iteration of FIFA, maybe it's something that's included. However, don't forget, it's just a test. While we want to enable our players to play with as many friends and others as possible, we limited the test to these two modes with the aim of reducing the new issues into the game. We are confident that the game data and feedback that we get from these two modes will help inform how crossplay could further be implemented for each title. So you know what? Maybe as I said in Ultimate Team, maybe in the next iterations, maybe hopefully they'll bring Ultimate Team in. I agree that maybe bringing it in now is a bit too much for a risky play, as long as you can turn it off. But anyway, as you can. How do I enable or disable crossplay test? Once this crossplay is activated, when you're in the main menu of FIFA 22, you can find a widget in the bottom right corner that can be opened with a corresponding button prompt that's pictured below. And that's the same thing when you press R2 or RT if you're on Xbox. That's when you want to invite a friend. So it's kind of the same button that everyone knows. You do it from the main menu. From this widget, you can simply follow the button prompt to enable or disable your crossplay test participation. There's nothing else you need to do in this widget. You can also search for friends regardless of their platform, and you can also block or mute someone if desired. You can also control your crossplay test participation by visiting the matchmaking online settings screen as pictured below. So you can search for your friends regardless of their platform. So in other games like an IDs, like my name is example like NealGuides, will it be like NealGuides hashtag 57954 whatever, because it's different variations of that name, or well, let's say Xbox search, Stadia search, PC search. That's going to be kind of interesting. See how they implement that. How do I play crossplay, my friend? I want to play crossplay with a friend online. You'll have to open a widget as mentioned below. Add your friend to the game list. You can search your friend by their platform or EA username. What's my EA username? I love people got their real name as the EA username. I have it. I don't know what mine is. I mean, I think it's like, it's a Lord of the Rings character, I believe. Not that anyone's gonna guess it anyway. As indicated by the on-screen prompt. Once you find your friend's name, you can then select them and choose the option to add them as a friend, or your friend should accept your request in a widget. To play a friend, you must select their name from the list. Follow the prompts, invite them to a match. You can simply enter the online friendlies mode and select your friend from the list presented on the screen to invite them. Okay, so very, very simple. Similar, you invite someone Ultimate Team or like a regular season. R2, you search for either EA username, or maybe like it was select Xbox and Xbox username. And I said, how do I crossplay in online seasons? Assuming you have the crossplay test feature enabled, of course you're going to have that enabled. You can head to online seasons as you normally would. There's nothing else that needs to be done. As usual, matchmaker will search for an appropriate opponent, and they may or may not end up being on a different platform than you. And the final 2 points is, does crossplay affect FIFA 22 gameplay or matchmaking at all? Our crossplay test does not have any direct impact to gameplay, or direct being a keyword here. You can think of this crossplay test as just another part of the game. When you're matchmaking online season, FIFA 22 will consider placement on other platform as long as you've opted in. What else is left from the crossplay test? When you're searching for a friend on the main menu widget, you'll see a crossplay platform indicator beside their name. If your friends on the same platform as you, the indicator will show the platform you're on, like PS, Xbox, and you'll have that crossplay kind of logo if, for example, they're available but on a different platform. If friends a different platform, a different indicator will be shown, presumably it's one I said before. The same indicator will display during a match when playing in online seasons. Okay, so this is interesting. So maybe you can go into a game and see if your opponent is on a different platform. Now, I think this could help gameplay and it could not. Now, the game itself, it's not, let's be honest, it's not the most fluid of games. Definitely probably the most broken games, to be honest, to be very candid. Can crossplay make it worse? Now, in theory, if you're like in the US, I think crossplay would be a fantastic option for you. Like if you're like in Asia or you're in US, in these countries where the pool of players compared to Europe is much lower, it might be easier for you to find a game. I know, for example, in Australia, it's very hard to find a game in Division 1, for example. If you're well, now every process on PS5, but let's just assume you're just playing anyway on Xbox. It's very, very hard to find an opponent. But I think if you can open up to Stadia, open up to Xbox and PS5, it's actually a very good, effective solution. And of course, to make the new gen only. Now, the good thing is you can disable it. So from the main menu, you can opt in or opt out. So you can say, I want to play people against. So I would suggest maybe just going into a game when this becomes properly available and it works properly, opting in. And I believe it says that it shows people who are on it's on a different platform to you. Yeah, so I think this is about friends, but if you're playing online seasons, it indicator also shows. Maybe you load up the screen and you see your opponent's team name, it shows a different crossplay platform. But I think it's obviously a good step going forward. In the future, you want to see Ultimate Team. Be candid. The problem is delay. I mean, I'm just thinking about, like, imagine how bad a connection is right now. Can you imagine with crossplay? But then, as I said, the argument could work on both ends of the spectrum. You could be in US and the next guy you could match could be all the way like 400, 500 miles away from you. But if you have someone on a different platform who's closer, because technically the game's the exact same. I mean, don't forget, they haven't just decided to put this in. When they made New Gen, they had these things in mind. So there must be obviously things that they've already thought about. So it could be actually a really good system, actually. I think the key thing is you can enable it, disable it, and I think the real key thing is you can see if people are playing. So you can have crossplay enabled, and let's say, for example, if you know you're in a game and the connection is really bad, and for some reason you think this is the crossplay, when you go into your next game, you can make sure that player is not from crossplay. So not only does it increase the pool of players, it makes it better for everyone just to play the game, because now you can play no matter what platform your friend's on, apart from if it's PC, because that's old gen, which is kind of the bummer. And to be honest, I really do prefer the PS4 and the old Xbox version of FIFA 22, just because it's more liquidy, more fun, more arcade, and it's more consistent. That's the key word here, consistent. If it wasn't, then I would have definitely played the new gen version even more. But that's why I still prefer the old gen version. It's more fun, it's more liquid, and it's less park the bussy, if that makes sense. Less animations anyway. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, fair play to, yeah, I think this is good. I mean, to be honest, the way they've done it, I think it can work both ends of the spectrum. It might actually be one of the few games where gameplay could be better, because if you think about it, they say it doesn't directly affect gameplay, but let's assume you have one player versus another player, and let's say on new gen, the exact same game, except for you're just on a different console. There shouldn't really be an issue, because they probably planned for this. So it actually could be more beneficial for you to find less delayed games, because let's say, for example, okay, let's say I'm in UK, right? And let's say someone is 500 miles away from me. At that time, I press X, and let's say no one else is available. By the time I press X to load into a game, someone is close to me on Stadia, on Xbox, you can then select them. And I think that is the key benefit here. And I think in Ultimate Team, especially, it would be a really good feature in the future. But you know what? I think they've done it the right way. So fair play to EA. I think they did it at the perfect timing as well. They started it kind of low on just general game modes, on online friendlies and online seasons, I believe. So I think this is a really good addition. So anyway, let me know what your feedback is. I'd like to know what you guys think about crossplay. To be honest, it should have come out earlier, but of course, the way FIFA was, it couldn't be. They had to wait for the kind of new version, next gen version of FIFA, which is essentially the same game, but a different game, if that makes sense. But it's interesting to know what your guys' opinions are as well. And as you said, fingers crossed, hopefully, when it's the right time, it's introduced in Ultimate Team. If it's like September time and it's not introduced in Ultimate Team, I wouldn't mind it. I'd rather them get them right properly and get it correct and then implement it after. The last thing and the worst thing to do is just rush into Ultimate Team, release crossplay, and it's a mess for everything. That can make other gameplays even worse. But anyway, that's kind of my thoughts. Interesting to see what your guys' thoughts are as well. Let me know down below in the description. Thanks for watching, of course. Catch you next time. Peace out.